Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, there we go. There's some energy. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton. My name is Pauline Nyjander, and I am one of the seminarians here, and I'm filling in while Reverend Bill and Reverend Jennifer are both away. I would like to extend a warm welcome to anyone that is visiting us today. We're really glad that you're here, and we hope that if you haven't done so already, please stop by our welcome table, which is outside in Robinson Lounge, so the doors that you probably came in through. So please stop by there so we can get to know you a little bit better, maybe answer a couple questions you may have about who we are as people and a faith. So again, welcome. We do have a couple of announcements this morning. I would like to first throw the proverbial ball to Kirsten for a big special announcement coming up.
Hello, everyone. I am here just to remind you again about the Buddhist monks who are coming to visit us on August 20th through 25th. I'm going to announce this as many times as we can before it happens because it's such a big event and an exciting event. They're going to be here to give some Dharma talks, and they're going to make a beautiful sand mandala over 2 days. And it's a really large event, and it's an opportunity to invite people into our space. So I hope that you will all spread the word to other people. On the UU website, the main webpage, you will find lots more information about the monks, their mission here. They're here to spread the word about Buddhism and also to raise money for their monastery. So all of the tickets that we sell for the opening and closing ceremonies, for the sand mandala, and for viewing the mandala's construction, it's going to go to their organization, which is a nonprofit, to help them construct new dormitories for their monastery. So please spread the word. We're going to have some flyers outside you can take and hang around and pass out to your friends. And if you look on the Facebook page, if you're connected, we have an event. You can invite people to come to this thing and get more information and buy tickets in advance. Those tickets are, of course, donations that will go to this group. Can I do one more? Do you have the music one? Music one?
No,
you don't. Okay, and I have one more surprise announcement. On August 11th, we have a lovely band coming to perform after the service. The band's name is Munalome. Okay, and it stands for music, nature, love, and meditation. And this band is very interesting. Some of you may have seen them for a moment a couple of weeks ago. They have very interesting a mix of eclectic music with modern cover songs from different genres and generations. So it's this very interesting thing. They use crystal sound bowls and like very didgeridoo acoustic guitar. It's just very amazing. So they're going to be here August 11th, right after the service. And one of the band leader, he actually comes here with his family sometimes. So he's also a UU member, more or less. So please mark those on your calendar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten. We are definitely having a hopping couple of weeks coming up then. I do have 2 more announcements and then we can move on. Like I said, we're busy this summer, which is usually quiet. So please join Princeton Eats Plants for a plant-based potluck Wednesday, August 7th at 6 p.m. outside in the Memorial Garden. Whether you're a seasoned plant-based enthusiast or just curious about incorporating more plants into your diet, Princeton Eats Plants offers a supportive environment to come together for plant-powered dishes and great conversation. Princeton Eats Plants meets the first Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. Please contact Joellen Burton or Vicki Campbell for more information, or you can visit their Facebook group, Princeton Eats Plants. And our final announcement, come beat the heat with Rainbow Ministry at their annual summer picnic. Our friends at the Bayard Rustin Center are graciously hosting us for a potluck at their space at 12 Stockton Street. And that's just like down the road. Parking is going to be across the street at the municipal complex there, and it starts at 12 and it goes until about 2:30. So that's right after the worship service. Feel free to bring any meat-free items. So, if you're attending the Princeton Eats Plants, that'd be perfect to bring something for this. Meat-free items that you like, and hang out with your friends, and check out the Bayard Rustin Center's general mission. And that ends our announcements. And now let us take a moment as we enter this sacred time together. We gather here together on this Sunday in the spirit of the principles that we believe in. We gather here together in the spirit of acceptance and in the worth and dignity of those around us as well as ourselves. We gather here together in the spirit of community and to celebrate the diversity that makes us who we are, human. And it is through our shared humanity that we work together to build a community that celebrates the gifts and the diversity that each of us brings here. And as a woman, a lesbian, and a trans woman, I am grateful to be welcomed here as I am. And whether you be a guest or a longtime member, I hope that whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, please know that you are welcome here. And now for our chalice lighting.
It's true, I was never attention's sweet center, but I still remember that girl. She's imperfect, but she tries. She's good, but she lies. She's hard on herself. She's broken and won't ask for help. She's messy, but she's kind. She's lonely most of the time. She's all of this mixed up and baked in a beautiful pie. She's gone, but she used to be mine. Sarah Bareilles.
To the great divine and our individual higher powers, we humbly ask that you continue to walk with us and guide us as we continue to live out our lives. We ask you to help us to see in us the opportunities for growth when things don't turn out quite as we would have had them turn out. May those situations lead to positive opportunities for new friendships and new options that we may not have noticed before. And when we are going through something particularly difficult, please continue to walk with us on this journey of life and help us to see the courage and strength that we have within us to make it in this moment and the next and the next and the next. Then when we are ready, help us to see the strengths that came out of the journeys that we are all on in this life. Blessed be, and amen.
Good morning. So, as a theater kid approaching 40, I've been lucky enough to see a few shows on Broadway, but with only one of them do I remember exactly how it smelled. That was Waitress, adapted from a 2007 movie crafted by the great and sadly gone way too soon actress Adrienne Shelly, and then brought to vibrant stage life by Sarah Bareilles after a previous stint as a concept album. I was lucky enough to grab tickets soon after it opened, August of 2016. And I remember walking in the door with my best friend. We both paused, sniffed the air, and realizing they were scenting the theater with pie. Associated with another show, it might have been just another gimmick that I'd have forgotten in the last 8 years. However, Waitress was one of those shows that just comes along at a perfectly calibrated time in your life, telling you not just what you want to hear, but maybe what you need to hear. My situation was as far from the musical's heroine, Pie Baker Jenna, as could be. I was certainly not trapped in a suffocating marriage nor having a secret affair with my OBGYN. Yet Jenna's story resonated with me anyway, especially the song She Used to Be Mine, whose lyrics I used this morning as chalice words. I was struck listening to that song over and over and over with a sudden pang of loss. I was suddenly conscious of a transformation I hadn't known was happening until I looked back and suddenly a couple of decades had passed. I realized not just that the world had changed around me, though it had, but that I had changed with it. Because if you asked someone for one word to describe my 13 or 14-year-old self, it would probably be smart aleck. Know-it-all would also win you points. Hermione Granger, though that's merely a generational thing. I remember being louder, weirder, more confident in that way that only a teenager can be. Then somewhere along the line, amid my parents' divorce, helping to take care of my younger brother, amid the natural upheavals of high school and college and the chaotic start of the 21st century, I had shrunk without knowing it. I had built a mask, as we say in the neurodivergent community, but lost some things along the way. It's a pretty useful mask, though. Pieces of it still are, like the octave or so that my voice rises when putting on my librarian persona. But other parts of the mask, like a tendency to overcommit or sacrifice my own boundaries, were not as useful, but much more persistent. Sitting there in the darkened theater, the aroma of fresh baked pie around me, sobbing along to Jesse Mueller's performance with 100 strangers, that was one of those moments that sets you on a path, not just to change, but to growth. As art can sometimes do, it gave me a model to work from, an inspiration. The mask could be cracked, or at least redrawn. Other things helped along the way, certainly. A more stable job situation, daily anxiety medication, a therapist who battles my most self-critical impulses twice a month. But it all started back there sometime in 2016 with deciding that change doesn't necessarily have to be linear. That girl who used to be mine is still there somewhere, waiting for me to reclaim her.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank Sue and Audrey and Emma and Airly. I think Airly's with the young at heart currently, but without them all, this service wouldn't be possible. For those that may not know me, may have forgotten, or may have missed my opening words at the beginning of the service, I am a transgender woman. Now, because I try not to make assumptions for those that are not 100% sure what that means for me, it means that I was assigned male at birth. And then at some point in my life, specifically 15 years ago, I began the transition of ceasing the use of masculine pronouns, changed my legal name to Pauline, and began to present as female for my gender expression. Now, growing up as a child in the 1980s, while I had some very small inklings that something was different and off about me, I didn't quite have the words nor the courage to tell my parents the things that I was feeling growing up. Nowhere in there did I share with anyone the feelings of being in the wrong body, the trying on of my sister's clothes when she wasn't home, and neither did I think that the transgender women on daytime trashy TV shows like Jerry Springer were actual potential representations of me. In my 20s, with the help of my then girlfriend, I would come to the realization that I was, in fact, transgender. And as far as we have come in understanding and affirming the transgender community here in the state of New Jersey, 10 to 15 years ago, transitioning was still risky business. For my personal journey going through it all, it was incredibly difficult and at times downright terrifying. Coming out to family and friends, coming out at work and the employees I was supervising at the time, legally changing my name in the courts, dealing with people that did not understand my journey in life and them choosing to remain ignorant about what that meant, being fearful of how people would react to my being in the bathroom or just even walking down the street. Now, I recall having a conversation with a good friend of mine when I came out to her in 2010. Her comment to me after I had outed myself purposefully went along the lines of, Pauline, the courage you have to do what it is that you're doing. I didn't feel courageous, nor did I feel brave. I was only doing this because the alternative was something that I had feared contemplating. I was scared and angry and a whole slew of emotions, almost all of them incredibly difficult and are usually described as negative emotions. Bravery was certainly nowhere on my radar screen for how to describe the, well, oddly enough, unexpected journey that I had found myself on. Yes, you did hear me correctly. This was an unexpected journey that I found myself on, because never in my wildest thoughts did I ever think about transition. And it would only be after I hit the lowest point in my life that it even became the remotest of thoughts. Now, I use this snippet of my life's story as a rather extreme example of something that we have all encountered at some point in our lives, and that is experiencing the unexpected things that can arise, or maybe when things don't quite turn out like we may have wanted them to, like it did for our raccoon friend Grub from the story, Are You a Cheeseburger? Some of us may encounter small, unexpected things like a broken water heater, a flat tire on the side of the road, a bad grade on a paper or test, or we hit every single red light on the roadway because the person in front of us is going 5 miles under the speed limit. I am definitely not speaking from personal experience on that one. Now, we may have other major things that unexpectedly turn out for the worse as well. Things like a negative interaction with a neighbor, a friend, or family member. Or we may even have something as big as being laid off, or perhaps for some, you're going through a major transition of sorts. How do we see these types of unexpected and negative things that happen in our lives? What are our reactions to these things when we encounter them? I suspect that many of us, if not all of us, will probably get angry or upset. I mean, who wants to change a flat tire on the side of the road or clean up a flooded mess that happens when the water heater breaks? Our anger may boil over as we yell obscenities, or possibly even provide a one-fingered New Jersey salute to the person holding us up in traffic as we finally pass them by in that long-awaited passing zone. Now, for some of the things, we may find ourselves feeling overwhelmed at the fallout from a situation or the enormity of whatever situation it is that we find ourselves in, where all we can see is the entire proverbial mountain range that we need to cross. But we're at the base of that first mountain looking upward and feeling incredibly small. And you know what? Every single emotion that we feel in those moments, the anger, confusion, frustration, fear, feelings of being overwhelmed, all of those emotions, they're what we're feeling in those moments. And let me tell you that it's okay to have those emotions. They are perfectly valid emotions, but I will caveat it that it's in how we act upon those feelings and emotions that is most important. So in other words, when we get angry, it probably is not a good idea to react like the driver in the example, but we are allowed to feel angry and frustrated. As was in the story with Grub, he feels the sadness, disappointment, and I suspect the anger and frustration at the fact that the plant in the story grew up to be not a cheeseburger plant, but a flower. All valid feelings that he experienced. And from the snippet of my life story, it was those feelings of being overwhelmed, of being terrified of how people would react, the anger and frustration of being misgendered a handful of times, and at continually being misunderstood by people who chose to remain ignorant of an incredibly large and important aspect of my life. Great. So now come big questions. What do we do with these feelings? What do we do with these emotions? The way I see it, we have two options that we can do with all this emotional stuff. We can let all of those emotions just wash over us and let anger and frustration dominate how we act or react. We can hold onto resentments that affect not only who we are as people, but also our own physical and mental well-being. Or we can choose a different path. As I mentioned earlier, in 2010, a friend of mine responded to my coming out to her by telling me that I was incredibly courageous and all I was able to feel were all of those negative emotions that one would expect to feel when the unexpected hits us. However, fast forward a few years' time, where I found myself at the beginning of my journey into the field of ministry. Having volunteered to deliver a lay-led sermon a few months prior, I was scheduled to preach as my first sermon here at UU Princeton in September of 2016, and boy, was I nervous. Now, I had done my due diligence in preparing my sermon, and I even received the green light on the content from Reverend Bill, but I couldn't shake those feelings of nerves. Now, whether it came from my higher power or not, I don't know. But I found myself at that moment thinking about my life's journey and that line from my friend of the courage it took for me to be doing my transition came to mind. So I pulled at that thread and the thought process emerged that I successfully transitioned. I came out to countless people that included family, friends, and coworkers. I legally changed my name and I was living as my authentic self. What else could I have encountered in my life that could be as difficult as all of that process? Preaching my first sermon, while certainly nerve-wracking, paled in comparison to the difficulty of the journey with all of its twists and turns and unexpected outcomes that I had gone through. It may have taken me a bit of time, but it was here where I experienced growth in how I had seen my unexpected journey. I still remembered all of those feelings that I had felt. I mean, I couldn't discount them. Only now I felt something new. Empowerment. Empowerment is but one outcome from the opportunity for growth we have whenever we go through something incredibly difficult. For Grubb, while he still didn't have his cheeseburger plant, he chose his path toward growth with regard to the situation, and he was able to find a few unexpected but good things. A new hobby as a gardener, and more importantly, a new friend. That is the type of emotional growth where if we allow ourselves the opportunity, we can try to pull from all of the negative and unexpected things that happen in our lives. And sometimes it may require a bit of work on our parts or the help of a friend or trusted mentor, or maybe even the arts to inspire us to see things in a new perspective. Ultimately, though, it requires us to make the conscious effort of asking ourselves and then truthfully answering, is there anything good that can come out of the situation? Maybe that person driving slowly in front of us on the highway, the positive is that it's a sign for us that our lives are too hectic. And this is just telling us we need to slow down, and it's giving us that opportunity to do so before we have to move on to the next thing on our to-do list. The flat tire on the side of the road. Maybe the positive is that you learned you had some car repairability in you. That leaky water heater, maybe the positive takeaway is the eventual good laugh and story that you'll be able to share with friends and family over dinner. Honestly, those types of unexpected situations can yield a multitude of positive things, and it takes a change in our perspective to be able to see that growth in us. But I would be lying if I said that these moments for growth would all be easy to attain. As I mentioned before, we all know those moments that we have in our lives, those moments that are overwhelming, and it seems like nothing good can ever come from it. And it very well may seem like we will never find a growth opportunity from those moments. That's okay. Sometimes, like my journey through my transition, it may just take us a while before we can see the growth that has occurred. And for those moments that overwhelmed us, we may not see it and we may not think any kind of growth can come from it. But I guarantee you it's there, and it's usually others that will see it in us first. It's the courage and the strength to make it through the difficult times that allows us to grow. As we move forward today and in the days and weeks and months ahead, I would encourage us to reflect on those moments in our lives where things may have turned out different from what we expected. to do a bit of a retrospective, if you will. And in that retrospective, I would encourage us to focus on the positive things that may have come out of it and to see the personal growth that we have all been able to do, the new friends we were able to make, and the new stories and laughter that we can all share. If we struggle to find something, trust in the knowledge that growth surely took place. We just may not be in that place to see it yet, but it is there. Be gentle with yourselves, be gentle with others, and be there for one another. Help each other through difficult times and know that positive growth is possible regardless of the situation. Blessed be, and amen. At the end of our worship service, we extinguish our chalice with the words of Brian Keeley. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet. And for our benediction, may love and compassion guide you in all that you do. May wisdom help you to seek responsible truths and meanings. May inspiration lead you to new places, and may the hope you bring be a beacon for others. Go in peace. Blessed be, and amen.